Our job is to figure out, like, why am I here? It all started, because I never felt like I was smart enough, good enough, worthy enough, or capable enough to achieve anything. And most people would rather die than think. Master the inner game, you master your life.
So we are sitting here with the legendary John Assaraf. Thank you for making the time here in your office in San Diego. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Great to have you here and your team.
We share a very important date together. I was born on May 20, 1980.
Oh my. Okay. Isn't that a great date? The date that I woke up and said, hey, maybe I do have it within me. I passed my first test without cheating.
For the real estate, right? And was that in Toronto too?
It was in Toronto.
Wow, I was born in Toronto. So if you guys don't know John, John is wow, how do you explain John? John is many things, but most recently, I guess, the brain doctor, the guy who's here to rejig your habits, get you out of your comfort zone and into the life that you deserve and you want. And I thought the best way, so he's the author of a new book, Innercise, here it is, you can check it out. We'll put the link in the description. I thought the best thing to do today was to take some of the practice, the ideas, the theories, and apply it to me.
Oh, perfect.
So you have a case of one to work through and see what I'm missing. I think the biggest thing for me, I think for most people, is you don't know what you don't know. You can't recognize, or you don't know what the limiting beliefs are that you have that prevent you from going off and accomplishing what you want to accomplish. For me, I think our paths are aligned in that I'm trying to solve the world's greatest problem. I think it's untapped human potential. I think most people either don't know what they want to do in life, or they found it and they don't believe in themselves enough to go chase it down. And so I think everybody has Michael Jordan level talent at something. It's about finding it and then living that life. And I know it's maybe different words, but aligned with some of the things that you teach and you're about.
For me, first, it's self-discovery, awareness of what can I really, achieve in health, wealth, relationships, career, business, fun, charity, experiences in life, so that I can maximize my own life and then be an example of what's possible. And it all started, because I never felt like I was smart enough, good enough, worthy enough, or capable enough to achieve anything of significance in my life. And in one lunch with one mentor, one question, my life changed. And he gave me a different way of seeing me. And then he gave me some steps to follow. And I followed some of those steps and I was like, wow, maybe I can achieve more stuff. Maybe I can feel better about myself. Maybe I can come to the realization I am smart enough in the things that I'm smart in. Okay. And I don't have to be smart in the things that, in my case, school was a freaking nightmare. Every day I hated, and my teachers hated me being there too. And so I felt that I was dumb, but I wasn't dumb. I was not challenged in the way that I got engaged and learned and felt proud. And I had one teacher in grade 5, Eddie Pollock in Montreal, that was the best teacher ever. And we can get into that a little bit, but he said, here are the things you have to do. So get those done. And then once you're done with that, what do you want to do? And so I liked sports. So he said, great, when you finish doing these things that have to get done, go to the gym and I'll arrange with the gym teacher that you can go and help them. For other kids in my class, like Eddie Chung and Wei Li, I think, they painted the entire school's staircases. They were amazing artists. And he arranged with the principals to let them go do that. And so he allowed everybody to flourish in what their natural passions or loves were. And it was like, wow, that's different. So yeah, let's have some fun.
Cool. So I am now on my path. My next goal is to get 10 million subscribers on my YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. The way that I'm growing now, it's going to take too long to get there. Too long. Last year I ended, say, at 1 million, and now we're getting, we're moving, but like 500,000 a year or 600,000 a year. It's going to take me too long to get to 10 million. And so my agent and I have been fighting over being famous. So I have an agent in New York, and he says, the problem with you, Evan, is you don't crave attention. You don't want to be famous. Like, yeah, I don't want to be famous. It's not about me. It's about the mission. It's about helping. I want to help entrepreneurs. It's that you need to get famous in order to spread the mission and the message better. Your story will help inspire others, and the bigger you are, the more you can help. It's like, okay, in my head, I associate ego with fame.
That I'm trying meaning that you have in your head around being famous equals a negative emotional blank. Right. Whether it's a negative emotional, thought, feeling, experience. And so the meaning that you're giving it is causing your lack of desire to do it in the way that your agent says you should. And so our brain is a meaning-making machine. It makes meanings. And the meanings that we have determine how we feel, determines the automatic negative thoughts, we call those ants, determines how we feel, and then determines what we do. And so if you have a disempowering meaning with the word famous and what it means to be famous, then you won't do what is required in order to be famous. And so the first question would be, is there a way to be famous and down to earth, kind, generous, giving, serving? Is there a way to be famous, being known? Famous, is just being known. People know you. Is there a way to do it with total integrity and heart and the spirit of serving?
Yes.
Change the meaning. And then you change the feeling. Then you change, when you change being famous to doing something for others, to using your platform to help more people, it's like, how do I do it faster? Right. So then you say, great, what do I need to do to become more famous? Is it a book? Is it more shows? Is it radio? Is it TV? What is it? Because then you're fueling the right meaning of famous. Now, there are people who are really, really financially wealthy who are absolute assholes. Right. And there are people who have billions and billions that are like, oh my God, look at how this person's using their money to do good in the world. There are people who are mega healthy in one area of their life and poor in other areas of their life. And so you determine the meaning, and then you determine the activities that allow you to fulfill that meaning. And I'm the same way. I don't want to achieve, pinnacles of success and be an asshole or be arrogant or egotistical. Just stay down to earth, I put on my pants the same way as every other guy does. I the same way every other gal does. I've made mistakes of biblical proportions that I'm embarrassed, ashamed of. And I've had some successes too. That's real life. And so you can show up authentically. Take a look at, Tom Hanks. When you think of Tom Hanks, have you ever seen him, be egotistical? No. Is he famous? Yeah. Oprah, she uses her platform for good. She egotistical, nasty, or does she really rise up to the level of using her platform for more good? Good. Right? So change the meaning, you change the feeling, and then you change the behavior.
So then how do you take the one-time awareness here, me sitting with you, and then reinforce that? I know this is part of what you are the expert on. So what should I do every day to make this change in my brain?
Think about a meaning, that we have in our brain. What we're talking about is we have a neural network and a pattern. And depending on how long that pattern has been there, it's either a conscious pattern, I'm aware of it, and it can also be a subconscious pattern that is so ingrained because you have so much evidence of the opposite meaning of that it is going to drive your behavior more than consciously saying, well, yeah, I can change the meaning. So every day when I wake up, after my morning meditation, I review my goals, my vision, my beliefs, my habits, and my plans every day. Meditation, and then I review them. So I have my Exceptional Life Blueprint, which is sitting up there. I have one here, I have one in my house, I have one in my car, I've got one in my briefcase, and every day I look at it and I repeat the purpose of my life, my vision, my inner mission, my outer mission, the empowering beliefs that I want to reinforce, not just consciously, subconsciously. And then I see myself behaving and feeling in ways that are consistent, not only with the outcome and the vision that I want, but with the beliefs required to achieve that. So I see myself reaching millions and millions of people every month. I see NeuroGym, my company, creating products and services that transforms the lives of people, so they can reach their potential and achieve more of their goals and dreams. And we always like to think in terms of faster and easier, not fast and easy, but faster and easier. And everything starts with what's in here. And so every day I reinforce it. I work out every day, and I call that exercise. And then I Innercise every day. I focus on the mental and the emotional techniques to strengthen the powerful beliefs and habits, perspectives, and paradigms that I want to have. And the more you do that, the more you're building what I call our neuro muscles. Right? Beliefs are nothing more than patterns that have been reinforced in the brain. They're not good or bad, but they're empowering or disempowering to varying degrees. So if you have a disempowering belief that does not resonate with the behavior and the vision that you have, change the belief. That's the seed that causes everything else to happen.
That process, is it something that you vocalize and say out loud, or just internal?
Both. I actually have it recorded. I listen to it. I read it out loud. I read it silently. I run my left and my right fingers across the words. Why? The words are being seen by my eyes. So the light is traveling through my eyes, activating neurons in my brain. When I touch the words, I'm sending a signal to reinforce it through my hand. When I close my eyes and I feel it, now I'm activating another part of my brain. So I'm trying to use as many parts of my brain to reinforce a neural pattern. So if you think of a wonderful term in the neuroscience field is the neurons that fire together wire together. Okay? So if I'm seeing it and vocalizing it and I'm running my fingers through it, now I'm using 3 different senses, okay, to wire this network in my brain. Now you'll see I've got an atomizer over there. I usually will have like a lemon scent when I'm trying to embed something into my brain. So I use colors, images, numbers, sense, auditory, visual, kinesthetic, any of the senses that I can invoke while I'm reinforcing neural patterns is what I use every single day.
How long does that take to do?
Anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, depending on how much time I have, but usually no more than 15 minutes.
Can we do a quick 5-minute version right now?
Let me get my...
get it, come back, let's see it. This is great.
And what we can do for all of your listeners, I'm actually just finished my new Exceptional Life Blueprint.
All right.
We can give everybody a copy if you want.
Yeah. Well, is it a hardcover PDF?
It's PDF that they can download. So this is my Exceptional Life Blueprint. So I've taken time to design what's an exceptional life for me. Mm-hmm. Not for anybody else. What's an exceptional life for me? So every day when I start off with the things that are the most important to me. Mm. So I've got my mother and father on top, my wife, my children, my brother and my sister. That's like the core of my nucleus. The core of my nucleus. So I focus on being grateful for all of this stuff. I focus on some of the stuff that I'm creating in my life. So many people know me from the vision board in The Secret, the movie. Yep. So this is some of the stuff I'm focusing on for my 60th, 70th birthday and beyond. So I've got just the lifestyle.
So what do you tell yourself when you're looking at this? Or are you just trying to see the images?
I'm looking at the images. I'm seeing myself. This is the new concept car by Mercedes-Benz that hopefully they'll come out with shortly. So I already have it on my vision board because I'm going to buy this car. I want to take yachts into these types of locations, which we've done in the past. My wife and I want to build a new house on the beach. So this is a future vision of myself. So I'm 58 now. And so I'm already planning what I'm going to look like at 60, at 70, at 80. And so I focus on seeing myself in this scenario over and over and over again. I'm giving my brain, it's called cognitive priming. So I'm priming my brain. This is one of my favorite watches by Frank Mueller, which is a $2.7 million watch. This is the type of designs that my wife and I like. This guy's 80 years old, and he's better shape than most 20-year-olds. So I am seeing these images every single day to remind me not only of what is it that I'm building and wanting in health, wealth, relationships, career, business, fun, experiences, and charity. Those are the 8 areas that I work on. But I also ask myself, what am I doing today to achieve that? So not just this is my future vision. So I focus on what I'm grateful for right now, what I'm building. Over here, my favorite color is purple. My lucky number is 14. These are some images. 2 of my power animals is an eagle and a dolphin, and they represent certain things to me. So every day, I start my day. This happens at around 6:30 in the morning. So I start my day with this. This is kind of like the style that I like to dress in and what I'm looking for.
So when you see the eagle, are you picturing yourself flying like an eagle?
No, I'm picturing myself. What the eagle represents for me is the ability to see, to be able to pinpoint something far away and stay laser focused on that and rule the skies. The dolphin is about freedom, fun, and intelligence.
Cool.
Right? So I create these images, scents, and usually I'll have my, and then this is part of my, contribution and just my frames. So, Michael Jordan said, I failed so many times over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. It just reminds me, failure is just part of the game. It's just part of the game. So who gives it? So I've got, stuff on contribution again.
So you read these out loud, these quotes? Like okay.
Every day.
Right.
Every day I just read them, and then I can change them if I want to.
Right.
But these are the ones I created, for this quarter type of thing. This one, there's a little some personal stuff on here, so I won't show you all the personal stuff. It just has my personal numbers. I don't mind. So I have a cheat sheet. So this one, I can show you the top of the cheat sheet. It's my life's purpose. All right. The bottom is just the 5 or 6 results I'm getting this year.
So how would you read your purpose to yourself like you were doing it in the morning?
So if I'm at home, I've got it right over here. And I'll sit and I'll always take a few deep breaths in through my nose and out through my mouth to calm any of my stress or anxiety centers. And then I'll take my left hand and I go, the purpose of my life is to live and authentically experience it as fully as possible. It is to be more aware and present, to love deeply, to give immensely, and to serve and love others to the best of my abilities. It is to use all the gifts God has bestowed upon me and make the biggest, most positive impact on our beautiful planet and people worldwide. It is also to consistently learn, evolve, grow, have tons of fun, and become all that I can become. Every day I read this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I'll take my right hand, the purpose of my life. And so now, and then sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually cross over. So all I'm looking to do is, if you think about this, can your hands see?
That's an interesting question.
Can your hands see? And the answer is yes, they can. And you may say, what do you mean my hands can see? Close your eyes for a second. Okay. Open your hand. Keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
What's this?
It feels like a book.
How do you know?
I'm used to what a book feels like.
And you're used to all of the cells of recognition of the book is already in your brain.
Right.
So you could hold something that you know, and you know exactly what it is with your eyes closed. It's your brain that sees, not your eyes. So I am building cells of recognition every single day and reinforcing them so that it becomes automatic. And the reason you do this, the reason you prime your brain daily is because of cognitive priming. Once you have your subconscious patterns, your brain focuses on it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to make sure that your outside world matches your internal map of reality. So the old saying, I'll believe it when I see it. No, it's wrong. It's when you believe it, right? Or I'll believe it when I see it. No, when you see it in here, that's when you see it out there. So every day I take a look at, I've got a core prayer.
And same thing with the fingers. Have you thought about using textured paper with little bumps or something so that you feel...
I haven't, but now I got another new idea. So I've got, my core prayer. I've got my, the story of my life. I've got my life's purpose. I've got my outer mission. I've got my inner mission. I've got my highest values that I live and make decisions from. And every one of these is really important. So I break it out into fun and experiences, charity, books I'll read, courses I'll take for the year. And then every day I focus on, this is what I'm trading my life for. And then I ask myself, what do I need to believe to make this a reality?
Did you say trading or training?
Trading and training.
Okay.
Yeah, I invest a lot of time on getting clarity. And the reason for that is our brain likes clarity. In the absence of clarity, there's confusion. And so I want to give it as much clarity of what I want to trade my life for. And then you can say, great, what are the highest impact activities I could do to make that a reality? Right? And if you have financial goals, then what's the highest income producing activities I could do to make that a reality? If you have health goals, what are the highest, best use of my time today to make that a reality? So if you know exactly what you want, all the how is already here. We already know all the how. Like, unless you're trying to figure out how do we colonize, humans on Mars, you really don't have to be innovative, right?
Yeah.
So the easiest part of the equation is how to achieve fill in the blank. How to grow your business to $1 million, 10 million, 100 million? We already know how to do that. But do you have the right paradigm? Do you have the right beliefs? Do you have the right perspectives? Do you have the right emotional management ability to be able to navigate through the challenging times? We're born into abundance and we create limitations, right? And so my goal is to help people see what those limitations are. Let's get rid of those because the abundance is already there.
How do you take this document, you read it every morning, you update it, you said maybe once a quarter or however often you feel like it?
Some days when I find something that's off, like there's a comma missing or I want to add this, I just add it, create new. Yeah.
How do you not rush through it and then not feel the feeling that you want by the end of it?
I make it important enough.
I think a lot of people in prayer do the same thing. It's like, okay, I'm going to say the prayer. And you go through it, but it doesn't have the meaning because you just rush through it.
Yeah. Whenever I'm doing this, I'm looking for, there's a model that I teach called SEMP, S-E-M-P. And in my, studies over the year, philosophy is really important to me. So I have certain philosophies about life. And one of my hierarchy of philosophies is there's perfect order in the universe. There's lots of things I don't like, things I don't understand, things are not to my taste, but there is perfect order. Don't believe it. Just take a look at the 9 planets and their elliptical orbit around the sun and how we can send a rocket ship and time it within a fraction of a second of where it's going to land. There's laws of physics. There's stuff that is working in perfect order and harmony. And so that perfect order and harmony is the spiritual side of stuff. That's the intelligence that's in nature, and we're a part of nature, which means it's within us. So how do I take my life and focus on the spiritual side of it for fuller expression and expansion of itself? How do I get my emotions aligned with that? How do I get my mindset right? And how do I get this physical body into action? That's SEM, spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical. And so if there is an abundance in the universe that operates in perfect order and harmony, which I believe, I start with that premise. I don't even have to start with that premise because that is what I believe. Then I say, okay, how do I get my emotions tuned into that? My brain is an electromagnetic switching station. So think about this, and we'll have a little bit of fun. We're in my studio right now. It's pretty quiet except for us talking. Is there music in this room right now? Oh, well, actually, we can hear a little sound right there. But is there music?
Let's say not that I can consciously hear.
Not that you can consciously hear. But if I brought, if I took out my cell phone and tuned into a radio station, let's say rock and roll, the receiver in my cell phone would tune into a frequency that's already here.
Sure.
If I didn't like rock and roll, I'd say, well, let's listen to classical music together. And we go, okay, well, I don't like classical music. I want to listen to punk rock. I can just turn the dial in 1 second and tune into a frequency that's already here. So by priming my brain daily, first and foremost, I'm helping it tune into the frequency that I'm choosing. By using my emotions, it's nothing more than energy in motion. We have 100 trillion cells in our body that are vibrating and oscillating at the level of our thoughts. And so if I'm going to allow random thoughts to rule my day, I'm going to have chaos, and it's going to be here and there, negative, positive, limiting, outstanding, etc. Or I'm going to start off by tapping into my emotions. There's 6 core emotions that we have. There's sub-emotions and there's feelings. Emotions and feelings are 2 different things. But the reason I want to go there is when you see yourself and feel yourself already tapping in and living the life you want, seeing the end results, you're activating 100 trillion cells in your body, which are sending and receiving information in this field, this quantum field that we're in. And so I don't do it without the feeling side of it, because that would be like saying, you only need 3 of the 4 numbers for a combination to a safe.
Okay.
It's like, that would not be smart. So I prefer to do half of my morning ritual and do it right than do the whole thing rushed. It's just part of my ritual. It's part of what I know works. So if it works, why mess with it?
So when you look at it, are you already thinking like right here from the cover, rocket ship, this is important, this is meaningful
Everything.
to me?
Yeah, everything. The meaning of the rocket ship, right here, it's around something called escape velocity. There isn't anything that anybody who's watching right now, unless they're like massively innovative, they're trying to do something never been done on this blue planet. They don't need to be really innovative. Here's the beliefs, here's the habits, here's the strategies, here's the tactics, here's the timelines, here's the tools, here's the resource, here's the money you need, the people you need. We already know how to figure that out. So the issue isn't that, the inner game. It's getting the inner game, which includes the emotions. And most people don't even know, what their emotions are. They have no idea they can switch emotions like a Hollywood actress in a nanosecond. So they're victims of emotions. They have this, disempowering mindset, these limiting beliefs, or this little critic in their head that talks negatively to them. Well, what if I told you that's normal? It's part of how your brain works. You have an Einstein brain and a Frankenstein brain. If you don't know how to deactivate Frankenstein and activate Einstein, then you'll be a victim of it. But in 2019, 2020, 2021, there's 110 billion people who've already lived on this planet Earth. We've learned a lot about what they did right, a lot about what they did wrong, and we're in the best time ever to live an abundant life, ever. And so what holds us back? This. Master the inner game, you master your life.
Is that what the escape velocity is for you, the inner game?
Yeah, absolutely. The escape velocity is making sure that the stuff that I'm doing to prepare for takeoff is perfect. My wife and I just watched First Man last night. Okay. Just last night we were watching. Not one of my friends said to me earlier in the day, you've got to watch it. And if you take a look at the space program in 1961, what happened between 61 and 69 before we took off and put a man on the moon, the amount of mistakes that we made, the amount people died, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 astronauts died. We don't have to make those mistakes anymore. So we have the blueprint for all of that. And so now we can do it in a repetitive way. And so when I think of escape velocity, how do I put myself in the position every day, every week, every quarter, to win the health game, right? To win the wealth game, to win the relationship game, to win the spiritual game, to win the game of life, right? There's games that are going on. If we take it as a game, how do I play the game better? What is every athlete, before she or he, does what he or she does, they have rituals. They have preparation rituals. They have practice rituals. They have, before I take a shot, rituals at the pro level. How many people have rituals? Like, how many people really have success rituals? Here's my ritual for having a killer mindset. Here's my ritual for being emotionally just powerful. Here's my ritual for making money. Here's my ritual for... Most people don't. But every pro has it. Every pro, whether they're playing chess, whether they're knitting, every pro has rituals. So this is part of my success rituals. And it's part of understanding that I have a brain. I'm not my brain. And if my brain has genius capabilities, which just Google, how much power does my brain have? It's freaking mind-boggling. Then part of my daily ritual is to use it better. And stop playing the game at the physical level when there's a mental, emotional, and spiritual level to be played that's way, way, way stronger. The physical level is, if you think about, what's more powerful, a physical interaction or a nuclear interaction, right? 1,000,000 times more powerful between physical to chemical and 1,000,000 times more powerful between chemical to nuclear. So when you're playing at the nuclear level of your brain, it is so much more powerful than just trying to figure out things on the physical level.
I love it. So, I mean, we'll include a PDF link to that in the description for all you guys to watch.
You can actually see everything that I've written. Then we give you blanks to fill in your own.
Oh, great.
So you can actually just fill in your blank, and we'll be charging for it, but your followers don't have to pay for it.
Amazing. I love it. Somebody then waking up, so they do this thing. They're going to wake up tomorrow morning. If they're tired, they didn't get enough sleep, they're cranky for whatever reason. How do they get into the zone of reading that and then believing it? Because they can say, oh, great, here's this fancy Mercedes, but I can't do that, and this prayer, yeah. And so I think we wake up not fully energized already. Are you expecting this to energize you, or do you do something before that energizes you that gets you ready to read this?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, let's help you understand your own language pattern.
Okay.
We don't wake up tired and energized. Or maybe you do, but we don't.
Okay.
So not everybody who's watching wakes up tired.
Okay.
Okay. And I know a lot about being tired just because I dealt with severe sleep apnea for many, many years. But I have a CPAP machine now, and I sleep freaking great, 8 hours a night, 7 to 8 hours a night. So let's say somebody wakes up tired on an ongoing basis. Waking up tired is an effect, not a cause. Okay. So if one of the things that you want, if one of your goals is to wake up energized, feeling focused, then do you have a ritual, a plan to make sure that you do? So we have to stop focusing on effects and start focusing on cause. For every effect in the universe, there's a cause. And for every cause, there's an effect. You're not getting away from that algorithm in this lifetime. And so if you're waking up tired, what is it? Are you on your cell phone late at night affecting your brain waves? Are you drinking coffee too much, or caffeinated drinks too much at night? Is your room not set up to be dark that affects your circadian rhythm because too much light's coming in? So for being tired, are you having an issue with your mitochondria, which is responsible for your energy at the cellular level? So there's a whole host of reasons why somebody might. Do you have sleep apneas or a hormone issue? So if somebody's waking up tired, stop focusing on how tired you are and then messing up your adrenal glands by drinking tons of coffee all day long and having sugar all day long, which messes it up even more. Let's go to what's actually causing this, and let's focus on that. So that's number one. Does this energize me? For me, it does, because it's tied to my purpose in my life. And so I have invested, hundreds of hours asking the question, like, why do I exist? Like, why am I here? I have certain propensities, certain natural things that are easy for me, and other things that are so freaking hard I don't ever want to do it. And so, but why am I here? Am I here to, to influence, to guide, to teach, to share, to show, to explain? And the answer is yes, for me. Are you here to support? If you're a person that's, on the forefront where you're teaching people, you have to have a support team. Sometimes support teams don't get validated for saying, this is what you're supposed to do because you're so good at it. Not everybody's going to be, the shepherd. There are some people that, what they do naturally and easily and gives them joy, that's what they're supposed to do. And so, you and I talked a little bit earlier about you believe everybody has, a purpose. And the answer is, yeah, and the purpose, a lot of people think that the purpose should be hard. No, the purpose should be challenging for you to grow. But the purpose of you naturally wanting to do something, that should be easy. It could be as easy as, I really love reading to children because it puts a smile on their face. Some people are, all I want to do is, the purpose of my life is to play games. Play games. I was going through Rob Report yesterday, and there's an article about this guy who loves scuba diving and loves watches. And he figured out a way to get the watch companies to give him the watches so he can actually do pictures all over the world with the watches on while he scuba dives, and then he writes a little blog about it. And wow. He gets all these watches, gets paid, travels the world. He took a couple things that he loved. And so our job is to figure out, like, why am I here? What is it that and you start off with, what do you naturally read? What do you naturally gravitate towards? What is it that, you invest your time because that's fun for you? Like nobody has to tell me, you should read more. Nobody has to tell me, like, you should watch, video. Nobody has to tell me that. I wake up in the morning wondering, like, what can I consume today? Because I'm inspired by it. I try to do as many things as I can that inspire me, and none of what expires me. Right. So, and I'm going to come back to, you mentioned something about limiting beliefs before. The three reasons. There's five, but I'm going to focus on three right now. Limiting beliefs that people have is one of the reasons that holds them back. Fears that they have, fear of failure, fear of success and failing, fear of being embarrassed, ashamed, ridiculed, or judged are the top 5 or 6 hold people back. It's because feelings are subconscious. They cause neuroelectrical signals that causes feelings, but we'll save that for another day. So limiting beliefs, fears, and self-image, self-worth, self-esteem. That those all come together. So, I don't believe, that, I'm worthy of that. I don't believe I deserve that. And so the question is, like, where does that self-image or belief or fear come from? Like, where does it come from in the brain? Because if you can understand, here's what's happening, here's why it's happening, here's what to do about it, you can master. You can let go of the limiting beliefs. There's not a person who's watching that was born with one belief. Not a person that was born with a self-image of themselves or self-esteem or self-worth. There's not a person that was born.
As a baby, you mean when they're first
a
born?
Baby. They're born.
Sure, right. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They're born. And there isn't a person that was born, actually, babies are born with a fear of loud noises. That's the only thing they're born with. That's intrinsic to survival. And that's just the hierarchy of how the brain works, survival first. But they don't have any fears. They don't have fear of heights. They don't have fears of fires. They don't have fears of eating something wrong. They don't have fears of being hurt. They don't have fears of losing money. They don't have any fear. They don't have being embarrassed. They'll poop right there. They'll stink like crazy. They don't care. So they've learned all of that stuff. So in essence, the learning is the neural patterns in the brain. Well, what if some of the learning was wrong? What if the limiting belief or the fear is disempowering? There's nothing wrong with feelings. There's nothing wrong with emotions. What's wrong is you don't know what they are and you don't know how to manage them to your benefit. That's a skill issue and an awareness issue, not a reality issue. So coming back to the initial question of, 10 million followers, what's really holding you back? Is it a limiting belief? Is it one of the 50 different types of fears? Is it a self-image, self-esteem, self-worth that you consciously want that, but subconsciously there might be a block there? And that's why I wrote Innercise, because not only do I share with people, here's what to look for, but here's what to do about it. And for everybody who buys the book, I've got 8 brain training audios we're giving everybody for free, where I guide them on how to do it.
Well, I'm going to go through the exercises here.
I'll give you access to the audios also.
Amazing. But how can we do it quickly? Like, can we use me as a guinea pig to figure out what my limiting belief is?
So we already figured out that one of your limiting beliefs is your meaning around being famous. So I believe that being famous equals, so what do you believe being famous is? Or let me ask you, what did you believe before we did the little reframe?
Right.
Okay. What did you believe before? Being famous
was about yourself, is selfish, is ego, is not serving, all of those things. It's making it about me instead of about the cause.
Right. And so can you shift that now?
Yeah, I love what you said, and like absolutely yes. So how do I take that? Is it then
write down a new belief? So somehow over the course of 38 years of your life, the belief, okay, around what being famous means is in there. It's in your brain, and you're never going to get rid of that belief. It'll always be there, but you can deactivate its dominance in your brain, which is causing you to filter out certain opportunities. When we have a belief, our beliefs actually act as filters to our brain. So we could have all of the tools, the resources, the knowledge, the skills, the connections to achieve what we want, but if the belief is there, it'll delete or distort it. So what would be an opposite belief that you would have to have that if you had that belief, you'd be okay being famous and helping more people.
That is about service.
So why don't we start off by creating a new belief for you right now? Because the belief that you got was a combination of other people's beliefs, plus some of your own experience, maybe formulated belief probably in the imprinting or socializing years. And so why don't we start off with a belief, and everybody can join us at home, say, I am so happy and grateful for the fact that.
I'm so happy and grateful for the fact that 250 million people have seen my content and has had a massive impact in their lives.
And being famous has helped me do that.
And being famous has helped me do that.
So if you add that piece, and being famous has helped me do that, that's one way to do it. So I'm so happy and grateful for the fact that. Now, why do we use those words? When we instigate the emotion of gratitude, I'm so happy and grateful. It's like, yeah, that's good. For the fact that, what have we learned about facts in our society? If it's a fact, it's true. If it's a fact, it's true. So I'm so happy and grateful. So we're going to add emotion of gratitude. We're going to add a fact. So I'm going to use logical brain and emotional brain together. And then I'm going to spell out what my belief is, tie it back to what my limiting belief was, and now I've created a new affirmation. Now, you write that down, you read it, you put your fingers across it, you see it, you emotionalize it, and you find evidence of people who are already living that. That's one. Two, you can use something, if somebody's not ready to make that big of a leap, they say, in the past, I used to believe that being famous was egotistical and blank and blank. And now I'm learning and discovering that being famous could be a way to serve more people, and I'm excited about it. So depending on how much of a leap you want to go, what you're doing with words is reframing the brain's perspective. So in your old limiting belief, it limited you because it closed off your brain, because your brain says, I believe this, therefore I'm going to make my reality match that. So as soon as you switch that, you change the frame in your brain. You've seen the FedEx logo, right? And so many people know that there's an arrow in the FedEx logo because it's either been pointed out to them or they've seen it, which is right between the E and the X, right? Well, what a lot of people don't know is when Fred Smith was building FedEx, they wanted to measure where every package was because they had a USP of when it positively absolutely has to be there overnight. And they figured the only way we can guarantee that is we have to track the package. So they actually put a little, like a baker's measuring spoon in the logo that most people have never seen because they don't have cells of recognition or the story to make that a reality. So I'm going to show you the logo again, which you've seen probably 100 times.
Yeah, more.
So I want you to find the little measuring spoon, like a little baker's measuring spoon in there. See if you can find it. If you can't, then I'll show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So the measuring spoon has always been there, but he didn't have cells of recognition or a need to see it. So when you change your frame, your brain all of a sudden sees stuff that's already there. And so when we take a sentence, a word, we emotionalize it, we see it. Initially, you're fighting an old belief system that's been there for 38 years or 30 years or 25 years, and there's trillions of connections that support this old belief and experiences and life that's gone into believing that. As soon as you start to try to believe something new, you're going to hear this little voice. Frankenstein activates and goes, that's not true. You don't believe that. You believe that people who are famous are blank. And you're going to have this little battle initially. Why? Let's go to why. Because our brain's responsibilities for safety first, safety for spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, financial safety first. So anything that it deems might hurt you, okay, it basically deletes or distorts, it puts a block on motivation. But secondly, energy conservation. So as soon as you start doing work that requires mental or emotional or physical capital, your brain says, what are you doing? Like, no, we already have the pattern for that. Just go with the old pattern that's been reinforced. It's true, go with that. So you have to override that pattern. So you want to listen to the negative self-talk or the inner critic says, that's not true. You don't really believe that. That'll never happen for you. You're not earning that. You don't weigh that. You're not really in love with her and her. Whenever we are looking to change an old pattern, the first sign that it's working is resistance. So resistance isn't a stop sign. Resistance is a go sign. So resistance just means that the old neural patterns are trying to get you back to what's normal, just like a thermostat. If there was a deviation in the temperature in this room, the thermostat would pick up a deviation and send a signal through the electrical system to turn on the air or the heat. That's called a cybernetic mechanism. Any deviation from our limiting beliefs to empowering beliefs sets off the system in the form of resistance first and doubt second. So we just have to be aware, oh, it's normal for me to, I don't want to do it. That's not true anyway. Do it later. That's just a normal behavior. So let's operate from a space of awareness instead of ignorance, right? So if I tell you, hey, listen, when you go and do this, here are 3 things you're going to feel, and here's what to do about it. And you go, oh, okay. Oh, here's the first one. Here's the second one. Here's the third one. So limiting beliefs, you override a new limiting belief with a new affirmation, emotionalize it, repeat it, just so everybody is 100% clear with me. It takes between 66 days and 365 days to get a new pattern to override an old pattern. Not 10, not 21. 66 days is the newest research on how long does it take to develop a new habitual thought, emotional, or behavioral pattern. That's the minimum. So don't come around to me 48 days from now going, it's not working. Okay, farmers don't complain, to people that the seeds, didn't grow yet. They say, here's the gestation period for that. Well, the period of time that it takes is 66 to 365 days. If you don't want to do it, stop complaining, accept your current results. You're not going to grow very fast. So if we focus on limiting beliefs, that's one, then we have fears. So what do fears do in our brain? So in your particular case, if you've got a limiting belief around being famous, and then you try to challenge that belief, then you might have a fear. What if I was right? What if I was right? And famous people, and maybe even me, what if I become the person that I think famous people are right now? So you might trigger the fear response center in the brain, which deactivates motivation. So these are all interconnected: self-esteem, self-image, and fears. And the key is we've got to practice the inner game and learning emotional management techniques like an athlete practices, her sport. They practice. Every athlete practices. Do they have time off? Yes. But they practice every day, and they don't practice game time. So I have rituals around my practice, and I don't deviate from them. I don't care if I'm in China. I don't care if I'm in Alaska. I don't care if I'm south. It makes no difference where I am. I don't deviate from my food rituals, my exercise rituals, my meditation rituals, my priming brain. I don't deviate from them because I want to play the game at the pro level. And there's levels within the pro level, right? And then there's the all-star team, and then there's Hall of Fame. And so the life that I want to live is a Hall of Fame life. And so I'm prepared to do the stuff that is needed every single day.
What if you don't know what your limiting beliefs are that are preventing you from living Hall of Fame life? Like you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. You can go through a list of beliefs. Do I believe that I'm worthy? Do I believe that I'm smart? Do I believe that I have everything it takes to achieve my goal? Do I believe that I have the right rituals, habits? You can go through, I call them Innercises, self-reflection time. Like sit and think. The highest order of a human being, right, is thinking, not thoughts. Thoughts are random. We have 35,000 to 50,000 random thoughts a day. There's 85 billion brain cells that are randomly throwing off, thoughts all day long based on inside and outside cues and triggers. Thinking is a totally different skill. And most people would rather die than think because it requires effort and time. And so do you have time to think? What am I doing well? In this Exceptional Life Blueprint, for example, on one of the pages, to have some key questions to ask yourself. So, what must I learn? When? What must I do? When? What must I start? When? What must I stop? When? What emotions must I engage? When? What must I release? When? Whose help must I seek out? When? Am I interested or am I committed in doing whatever it takes? Right? So you can ask questions, and think about the answers. I take, as you can probably tell, I take life seriously, not just mine, but everybody else's. I've seen so many people waste their lives and come to a point in their lives, whether they're 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, where they're living with so much regret and pain because they didn't do what they could have done when they could have done it. Right? Jim Rohn, I know you've enjoyed him. He says, a recipe for disaster is not doing what you can when you can. A recipe for success is doing what you can when you can. It's so true. It also means, by the way, I just want to make sure everybody's clear. Do you fail? Yeah. Do you make mistakes? All the time. But your frames are so strong that you learn from them and you just keep moving forward, just keep moving towards that.
Meaning that you failed, but you are not a failure.
Yeah, you separate failure from who you are.
Right.
If you were created by this infinite intelligence in the universe, it's in you. It is you. Part of the way we learn is through failure. I like to leverage other people's failures as well. Like, failure can be painful, in a variety of different ways. And I've had plenty of my own in every area of my life. But if you can leverage other people's failures and other people's blueprints for success, you can achieve incredible things. And everybody needs help. Everybody needs help.
What's one thing you still need help with, you're struggling with, you still have fears, insecurities, doubts over right now?
One of my big goals is for my new company, NeuroGym, and playing at the level of reaching billions of people, and not, messing it up is a constant little voice in my head. I've had some wonderful successes. I've had some wonderful failures. And one of my last ones was extremely painful, where it was associated with one of my best friends in the world. 35-year friendship ended up, we're not friends anymore. He had a stroke, he had a heart attack. We lost millions of dollars, disappointed tens of thousands of people. And so that's still, even though it was, 7-8 years ago, it was extremely painful on a personal front, extremely painful on a financial front, on a ego front, on a variety of different, so that, there's that constant voice of like, why do you want to go so big? Like, why do you want to make a difference in that many people's lives? And the answer is because it's part of my purpose. But the fears are still there. So I have to consistently manage, that little voice and that automatic emotion of like, you don't need it. Like, right. So it's constantly, causing me to bump into that. And so that means I constantly have to practice.
So what would the practice be around that? Or how do you reframe it? Is it still that I'm thankful and grateful that...
Happy, grateful, the past doesn't equal the future, which was Tony Robbins', wonderful line. But also understanding that the only reason that the emotion is there, fear is an emotion. So is shame, so is disgust, so is sadness. But fear is an emotion that's triggered by a subconscious pattern that any time you are going to do something that could result in some of the old memory being real, that signal, that neuro signal, the neurochemical signal is automatically activated as a protection mechanism in the brain. So I go, okay, so what I'm about to do, what I want to do, what I'm thinking of doing, what I'm masterminding doing is triggering that old pattern in my brain. But I'm not my old pattern. I have that old pattern. So I just have to remember, I do Innercise number 1, which is called Take 6, Calm the Circuits First. So Take 6, Calm the Circuits is around the vagus nerve and the relax and respond a circuit in the brain versus the reactive part of the brain and the stress response brain. So first you calm the circuit. Take 6 deep breaths in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth like you're breathing out through a straw. You do that first. That's your foundational Innercise to manage your emotions and your state first. Innercise number 2 is called AYA, A-I-A. And AYA stands for awareness. So awareness of my thoughts, feelings, emotions, sensations, and behaviors right now. What's my intention? My intention is to go after the big game again. Great. What's one action I could take right now to move me towards that? So I reduce the stress or the anxiety, which is the fear circuit. I become aware of what activated it. I want to do something. I have this grand vision, and my fear center's kicked in. What's my intention? My intention is to be aware of it and do it anyway. What's one action I could take towards doing it? So now I'm in control of the sequence, and I'm in control of the pattern versus it controlling me. You do that enough times, right? And you start to be more in action towards the goal and dream. That's part one. Part two of that is I put myself in an environment of people who are already doing it. So I have mastermind partners who are all running $1 billion+ companies, $2, $3, $4, $5 billion companies, high, effective, powerful CEOs who I talk about this. And they go, I feel that too. Oh, great, it's normal. And so I put myself in the environment of people who are already doing what I want to do. And that's where, having a coach, having a mentor, having a mastermind group, having an environment of people to share the human experience, right? This is real stuff. This is what I'm feeling. Discount my feelings. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm afraid of. And just be real. And you realize we're all the same. We're all the same. And so that's how I play. I reinforce it with words, reinforce it with my vision, reinforce it, with my team. We just keep reinforcing what we want and move away from what we don't want towards what we want.
I love it. So cool. Guys, you got to go check out the book, Innercise. We're gonna link up the Extraordinary Life Blueprint in the description. Awesome. If people want to find you, where should they go? What's next?
I'm on Instagram at John Assaraf. I'm on Facebook. I do a training every Tuesday on Facebook on my fan page. I tweet maybe 4 or 5 times a week. I do YouTube. We're using social media a lot more now than we ever have. And so gaining a following, sharing with the world, being famous to help more people.
The last little jab. I love it. There you go. Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate all the love.
Thank you, man.
If you like this video, check out the one-on-one I did with Dave Meltzer, the entrepreneur legend. I think you're going to enjoy it. The link is right there next to me. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.